Muito boa noite, meus amigos. Hoje, 28 de dezembro de 2023, pelo horário de Brasília, 21 horas e 44 minutos. Estamos iniciando mais uma transmissão em nosso canal Will PTV. Hoje, então, transmitindo para vocês a missão Ussf-52, um Falcon Heavy levando então o X-37B, que é o famoso Spaceplane, né, que é aí a nave secreta dos Estados Unidos, que foi desenvolvido então pela equipe da Boeing, né? E hoje, né, será lançada aí lá no Centro Espacial Kennedy, nos Estados Unidos. Lançamento então previsto para acontecer às 22 horas e 7 minutos no horário de Brasília. E hoje também, quer dizer, na madrugada de hoje, né, de amanhã, no caso, né, dia 29 de dezembro, iremos ter também aí a missão Starlink do grupo 636, tudo aí transmitido hoje ao vivo para vocês, né? Então lembrando que hoje estamos aí comemorando então aí o último Falcon Heavy do ano de 2023, né? O lançamento aí do último Falcon Heavy deste ano, o lançamento de número 95 da Spacex. E só vamos poder então acompanhar aí, infelizmente, né, até o pouso, né, dos estágios dos boosters auxiliares 1 e 2 do Falcon Heavy nas zonas de pouso 1 e 2 no Cabo Canaveral, na Flórida, nos Estados Unidos. Tá? Então vamos recapitular então quais missões os boosters, né, do Falcon Heavy de hoje então já participaram, né? Então eles já participaram aí das missões Ussf-52 X-37B, Ussf-67B, Hugs, Jupiter 3, NASA Visit, né? Então eles já participaram dessas missões, né? Então, como eu falei, isso só vamos poder então acompanhar até o momento do pouso dos auxiliares 1 e 2, tá? E não vão, infelizmente, como é uma missão então militar aí secreta dos Estados Unidos, não iremos acompanhar a demonstração do voo do X-37B, né? Seria bom a gente poder acompanhar, né? Lembrando que a China, né, fez uma cópia do X-37B, né? A China copiou este veículo aí, né? China sendo China, né? E para quem não sabe também, já conseguimos ultrapassar a marca de 900 inscritos no canal, né? Quero agradecer então a todos aí pelo apoio, né, que sempre estão dando aí ao nosso canal. Estamos agora com 908 inscritos, né, faltando apenas 92 aí para chegar à marca de 1000 inscritos no canal. Nessa falta então apenas a questão das horas, né, a serem cumpridas aí para, enfim, a gente conseguir a nossa monetização aí do canal e poder habilitar também o superchat, né? E ainda até o momento não temos habilitação aí do superchat por conta justamente dessas horas que ainda restam a ser cumpridas, né, para monetização. Lembrando também que nós temos um programa na Twitch, né, chamada Resumo das Missões, né, onde eu passo também tudo que aconteceu das missões do dia, né? Nosso canal na Twitch está twitch.tv/willptv, tá? O link está na descrição aí da transmissão no YouTube, tá bom? Aí a transmissão então deste programa, a exibição será realizada então amanhã na parte da manhã, tá? Porque como ainda vamos ter missão ainda na madrugada, né, com a Starlink, né? Então aí eu vou passar a transmitir na parte da manhã o nosso programa lá na Twitch, tá? Nosso programa resumo das missões, tá bom? Estamos aguardando então o contato com a Centro Espacial Kennedy, né? Lembrando que o lançamento então hoje será realizado lá no Centro Espacial Kennedy, na plataforma 39A, né, com o Falcon Heavy. Na vez anterior, né, como a gente estava acompanhando, não tivemos naquela oportunidade de transmissão com o Falcon Heavy, devido então ao problema que tivemos em solo na plataforma, né? Não sabemos identificar qual foi esse tipo de problema, mas tivemos então um problema em solo na plataforma, mas já foi tudo resolvido e estamos indo tudo bem. Aí estamos com 90% de chance favorável para o lançamento hoje, né? Tanto para a missão de agora quanto para a missão Starlink. Lembrando para seguir também o cronograma da nossa programação aqui no canal, né? Basta seguir nas redes sociais, né? Tanto no X, né? O link está aí na descrição também, quanto no Instagram, né? onde eu faço toda a atualização aí da programação, tá bom? E se você quiser saber sobre as estatísticas da programação, do que já foi transmitido aqui no canal, também nós temos o nosso blog, né, onde temos as matérias também aí de toda a transmissão que foi realizado, né? Então nosso blog está aí também na descrição da transmissão, tá bom? Então não se esqueça, deixa o like na transmissão, se inscreva no canal e compartilhe. Já estamos ao vivo, transmissão iniciando com a Spacex. Vamos lá, vamos acompanhar juntos então a missão Ussf-52 X-37B neste momento. Mais uma missão então com Falcon Heavy. A sexta missão do Falcon Heavy este ano de 2023. A última também de 2023. Estamos já praticamente encerrando o ano, né? 2023. Faltando então aí poucos dias para a virada do ano. No início da madrugada, então, do dia 1º de janeiro, teremos missão da Índia. Então, não percam, hein? E aí, portanto, já estamos ao vivo aí com o Falcon Heavy na tela. Com a missão para vocês, o Ussf-52.
Welcome to our live webcast of the USSF-52 mission, where SpaceX will launch the Space Force's X-37B orbital test vehicle, or OTV, to space for its 7th overall mission to date. The OTV payload will conduct tests that include operating the reusable spaceplane in new orbital regimes, experimenting with future space domain awareness technologies, and investigating the radiation effects on materials provided by NASA. My name is Jesse Anderson, and I'm a manufacturing engineering manager here at SpaceX, and I'm excited to be here with you today, bringing you coverage of our 5th and final Falcon Heavy mission for the year, 9th overall since first taking flight in 2018, and 3rd Falcon Heavy launch in support of a national security space launch mission. And as 2023 comes to a close, today's mission also marks our 95th launch of the year, with our final mission expected to lift off from our neighboring pad in Florida in about 3 hours from now. And you can see both of those rockets there on your screen. A big thanks to all of our customers and the SpaceX team for a record-breaking year. Now, today's mission marks the 2nd time the X-37B orbital test vehicle will take flight on a SpaceX launch vehicle. Some of you may recall the first flight on Falcon 9 back in September of 2017, in which OTV-5 spent a record 780 days in orbit, breaking the vehicle's own endurance record. Here's a closer look at today's payload.
Faltando então 14 minutos, então vamos ver aí pouquinho sobre o X-37B. Spaceplane. Lembrando que o Spaceplane, então, é como se fosse a miniatura aí do ônibus espacial, né? Do antigo ônibus espacial americano. Lembrando que ele pode também carregar satélites, né? E outros equipamentos também para ser lançados em órbita. Como também tripulação para a Estação Espacial Internacional. E aí algumas missões do que já foi realizado aí com os voos anteriores, né? Já foram 6 voos realizados então pela Spacex, aí com o Spaceplane X-37B. Esse é o 7º.
From our initial
Então,
launch
esse é o
attempt
7º
for
voo
this
aí do
mission on Sunday, December
Spaceplane
10th, due to bad
com a
weather.
SpaceX.
On our second attempt the following day, during the count, our teams reviewed
13
data
minutos.
related to system checkouts, which resulted in a no-go condition and decision to stand down from launch that evening. We rolled the vehicle back to our hangar at Launch Complex 39A in Florida to be able to further assess data and address any issues. And during this time, the payload remained healthy and all systems are go for an on-time liftoff tonight. Weather is also looking great for today's T0. Today's flight will be on the Falcon Heavy that you see there on your screen. This is essentially 3 Falcon 9 rockets strapped together, which means that it can carry much larger payloads, not only to Earth orbit, but to the Moon and Mars as well. Like the Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy is a 2-stage launch vehicle. The big difference is that the Falcon Heavy first stage is comprised of 3 cores and Falcon 9 has only 1. Falcon Heavy has 28 engines total. Each one of these cores has 9 M1D engines, making for a total of 27 engines across all 3 boosters, which you can see there on your screen. The 28th engine is a Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage and will power the payload to its separation orbit. Now, altogether, the Merlin 1D engines at the base of Falcon Heavy produce 5 million pounds of thrust, which is equal to 18 747s at takeoff. And in fact, the engines produce so much power that we don't run them all at full thrust all at once until after liftoff. About 2.5 minutes into flight, the 2 side boosters will separate from the center core and come back to Earth for near simultaneous landings at Landing Zone 1 and Landing Zone 2 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. This will be the 5th launch and landing of these Falcon Heavy side boosters, which previously supported USSF-44 and 67, Hughes Jupiter 3, and NASA's Psyche mission. Upon side booster separation, the center core will keep firing for about 90 seconds before shutting down its engines and then perform a standard stage separation from the second stage. We will not be attempting to land our center core today. For those of you looking closely, this is why you don't see any landing legs or grid fins on the center core. And moving towards the top of the vehicle, once the first and second stage separate, the second stage will propel our payload to its intended orbit.
Menos de 10 minutos e 40 segundos para o lançamento.
Of stage 2, so immediately after the Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage fires up, we'll be directing all of our attention to the landing of our side boosters. Now, above the second stage is where our payload is safely enclosed inside of the fairing. The fairing protects the payload from aerothermal loads, heating, and contamination during ascent. Once we reach the vacuum of space, we will jettison the fairing as the second stage continues on its journey to orbit. We will be attempting to recover the fairing halves today with our recovery vessel, Doug. And at T-minus 10 minutes and 8 seconds, the SpaceX team continues to count down towards our 8th operational Falcon Heavy launch and 9th overall since taking flight in a demonstration test flight back in February of 2018. All systems are a go. Before we began the webcast, the SpaceX launch director polled the members of the launch team and got a go for propellant loading and launch. And we are currently loading propellant on all 3 first stage boosters as well as the second stage. And you may be able to hear some of the live rocket sounds from our launch pad. Those pops and hissing sounds that you hear are from propellant loading, as well as the launch mount and strong back that the propellant is flowing through. Falcon Heavy uses 2 propellants. One is a refined form of kerosene called RP1, or Rocket Propellant 1. That's our fuel. The other is our oxidizer, which is liquid oxygen, or commonly called LOX. An oxidizer is a type of chemical that releases oxygen to mix with fuel and allows it to burn. Liquid oxygen is chilled well below its boiling point so that it has a much greater amount of mass per volume, which basically means that we can load more of it into the rocket. As a fun fact, the Saturn V first stage flown from this very pad on the moon missions also used liquid oxygen and kerosene. In addition to these 2 propellants, we also use the chemical TTEB, or triethyl aluminum and triethyl borane, as an ignition source. The combustion of RP1 and liquid oxygen is what makes the rocket go or fly, and it's the TTEB that sets the match to the propellant mix. Today's mission is for the U.S. Space Force and is being overseen by Space Systems Command, or SSC.
Center core RP1 load is complete.
Space Systems Command is the U.S. Space Force's field command responsible for acquiring and delivering resilient capabilities and groundbreaking technologies to protect our nation's strategic advantage in and from space. For more on the SSC, let's take a listen.
Lembrando que hoje aí aí da parte então da Força Aérea dos Estados Unidos, né, do Space Commands, Space Center Commands, né, que está conduzindo também em conjunto aí com a Ussf-52 esta missão aí do Spaceplane. Para quem está chegando então na nossa transmissão, estamos acompanhando a missão com o Falcon Heavy, o último Falcon Heavy do ano, a missão Ussf-52 X-37B. Horário de Brasília agora, 22 horas e 1 minuto, lançamento daqui a pouquinho, daqui a 5 minutos. Lançamento então sendo realizado lá no Centro Espacial Kennedy, na plataforma 39A. O núcleo central então do Falcon Heavy já está abastecido, ou já foi abastecido completo, né? Está 100% abastecido. Estamos aguardando então os auxiliares aí serem abastecidos aí, com o abastecimento serem concluídos. Lembrando que o pouso dos auxiliares 1 e 2, né, serão aí nas zonas de pouso 1 e 2 no Cabo Canaveral. Menos de 5 minutos. E logo mais teremos missão Starlink a partir da meia-noite e 50.
At T-minus 4 minutes and 45 seconds, all systems are currently a go for an on-time liftoff. Next up, the trusted structure next to the vehicle, which is known as the strong back, will begin to retract away from the vehicle, and that is in preparation for liftoff.
Será então aberto agora as garras do suporte de apoio.
Now you can see on your screen just below the fairing around the second stage are some clamp arms, and they're starting to slowly open up. Once they are fully open, then the TE can begin to recline away from the vehicle. And the vehicle is nearly fully loaded with propellants and will complete at T-minus 2 minutes.
4 minutes.
And there you can see on your screen those clamp arms are opening up there. The range is green and ready to support. Weather is 90% go for T0, so...
NY LOX load is complete.
Auxiliar
very great news with the weather. If for some reason we do not launch today, we do have a backup opportunity tomorrow around the same time. And there you can see on your screen, the clamp arms are now fully open, so that TE to the right of the vehicle that you see there
No mesmo horário.
to the right of the fairing
Mas até
is
agora,
beginning to
nenhum
slowly
problema, tudo ok.
move away from the vehicle.
Estamos
Additionally-
aguardando,
P5
então,
lock float is complete.
Additionally, it
estágio
is
2 com
worth noting
abastecimento
that at the
concluído.
request of our customer, we will again not be showing views of the payload, so we will be ending the webcast just
Salve,
after
amigo
Falcon
Marcos,
Heavy's
seja
side boosters
bem-vindo.
make their
Vamos
way
que
back
vamos.
to
É isso aí,
land
último
on landing
Falcon Heavy
zone
do
1
ano
and landing zone 2
2023.
around the T+8 minute mark into flight.
3 minutos.
Center core lock float is complete.
And we just heard that call out that
Spacecraft is on internal power.
Estamos aí com o abastecimento
just heard
concluído.
that call out that the center core liquid oxygen loading is complete. That
Abastecimento
concludes
concluído agora
all
nesse
first
momento aí do
stage
núcleo
vehicle
central,
propellant
com
loading.
oxigênio.
We are still loading liquid oxygen on the second stage, and that
Também
should
no segundo
conclude at the
estágio.
T-2 minute mark, which will also conclude all propellant loading for Falcon Heavy.
Estamos aguardando então a conclusão do abastecimento aí para os auxiliares.
And you can also see these white clouds on your
2
screen.
minutos e 15
This is
segundos.
normal. This is us just venting out the boiled off liquid oxygen at the
22
liquid.
horas e
Stage 2 lock float is complete.
Estágio 2 com
And there's that
abastecimento
call out that
concluído.
stage 2 LOX load is complete. That concludes propellant loading on Falcon Heavy.
2 minutos.
Again, those white clouds that you see around the vehicle are normal. That's us venting out the liquid oxygen that has boiled off
O
of
Heavy
the
então
liquid
está pronto
surface
para subir.
out
Heavy
into the ambient air. Once that cold liquid oxygen meets that warm ambient air, it basically condenses just as you would see water condensing around a cold glass of water. The next event coming up will be Falcon Heavy in startup. That's at the T-1 minute
O
mark.
Heavy então está 100%
Ground gas
abastecido.
closeouts.
Válvulas fechadas para abastecimento. 2 horas, 22 horas e 5 minutos.
And now that we have finished propellant loading, we are also clearing out the liquid oxygen line on that transporter erector, and that's why you see a little bit more of those white clouds there on your screen. Again, at the T-1 minute mark, Falcon Heavy will be in startup. This is an autonomous vehicle, so the internal flight computers will take over the launch countdown.
Estamos aí no minuto final.
Falcon Heavy is in startup.
Falcon Heavy está
Great news, there's that call
Estamos no
out that
modo
Falcon
automático de
Heavy is in
lançamento para o
startup. Now
Falcon
just
Heavy.
waiting for the final call from the launch
50
director.
segundos.
This is the mission director. Go for launch.
Falcon Heavy liberado
And
para o
great
lançamento.
news with that
40
call out, all
segundos.
systems are go for launch of Falcon Heavy with USSF-52.
30 segundos. Vinte segundos. 15.
15 seconds.
E agora entramos na contagem final regressiva em 10.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ignição e lançou às 22 horas e 7 minutos do horário de Brasília. Lançou o Falcon Heavy com a missão Ussf-52 X-37B. Último Falcon Heavy do ano de 2023. Vamos ouvir.
M1D chamber pressure nominal. Nominal power and telemetry.
At T plus 50 seconds into Falcon Heavy's flight, under the power of 5 million pounds of thrust, Falcon Heavy is carrying OTV-7 out to space. And we are coming up on max Q here in a few seconds.
Max Q.
Já estamos em
And
Max
great
Q.
call out
Estamos
there.
aí
We
com
have
1
passed
minuto
through
e
max
20
Q.
segundos.
That is the point of peak mechanical stress on the vehicle, and we've now passed through that. So we do have a few events coming up here.
Lindas imagens aí do lançamento do Falcon Heavy.
That will be booster engine cutoff, or BECO.
Lembrando que só vamos poder então aí acompanhar até o momento do pouso dos auxiliares.
Boost back burn startup, and then the center core main engine cutoff, or MECO.
Próximo evento então será o MECO.
Again, those are a few events coming up here. BECO, side booster separation. That'll be the separation from the center core. The center core will continue to carry stage 2 with the payload until it shuts down its engines with MECO and performs a standard stage separation like you see on a Falcon 9. And there you can see on your screen, on your right-hand screen, some views from the side boosters and a really awesome view of Falcon Heavy on your left-hand screen with all of those engines burning really bright there.
2 minutos e 20 segundos.
Coming up on BECO in a few seconds here.
E, portanto, temos o BECO.
Booster engine cutoff.
Side booster separation confirmed.
Separação dos boosters 1 e 2, confirmando aí na tela para vocês. Separação às 22 horas e 9 minutos no horário de Brasília.
Booster boost back startup.
Agora temos aí o momento então do recuo dos boosters auxiliares, né, que vão fazer então, o pouso das zonas de pouso 1 e 2.
The startup of the boost back burn on both of those side boosters looking really awesome there on your
3
screen.
minutos. Belíssimas imagens aí do voo.
Now the side boosters are returning to Florida under the power of 3 engines. Coming up are a few events in rapid succession. That will be the conclusion of the side boosters boost back burn, MECO, stage separation of the center core and the second stage, as well as SES-1 or the NVAC engine igniting on the second stage. SES-1 stands for second stage engine startup. And as I mentioned previously, per the request of our customer, we will not be showing second stage views after SES-1. Additionally, our center core, or stage 1, is expendable today, so we will not be attempting to recover it, but we will be following the side boosters back to land, so you can continue to stay tuned for that.
Então, lembrando, em destaque então para vocês é o MECO, vai acontecer agora.
Booster boost back shutdown.
MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
Separação então do núcleo central. Separação confirmada aí do núcleo central. Ignição do estágio 2.
And there we were also able to see and hear the call-outs for the side boosters, boost back burns concluding. We had MECO, or main engine cutoff of the center core, as well as stage separation, and also heard confirmation that the NVAC engine has ignited. Now, as we mentioned before,
fairing separation confirmed.
And great call out there, also a confirmation that the fairing has separated from the second stage. Again, we will be attempting to recover those fairing halves when they fall back to Earth using our recovery vessel.
Agora vamos aguardar então o retorno dos auxiliares 1 e 2.
Now, again, as I mentioned earlier, the center core was not built to land or be reused. It is expendable, having given its all for the mission. We will say a big thank you to the center core. For the 2 side boosters, the boost back burns have completed, and so far the vehicles are on a good trajectory,
Missão
Ussf-52.
Lançamento aconteceu agora há pouco, às 22 horas e 7 minutos,
that will wrap up our coverage
lá na
pertaining to the
plataforma
stage
39A,
to
no
the
Centro
second
Espacial
stage. So we'll focus our attention on the side boosters.
Lembrando que para esta missão, como se trata então de uma missão militar,
Now those side
não vamos
boosters are
acompanhar aí
currently on their way back
a
to land. In
demonstração
order
de
to
voo
land
do
back on land, we
veículo
typically
Spaceplane
have 3 burns.
Center
X-37B.
core FTS has saved.
We typically have 3 burns. They've already concluded a boost back burn, which helps them turn back around and head back towards land. The next burn coming up is the entry burn. That's where we'll reignite 3 of the engines on each of those boosters, and that helps slow them down as they enter back into the Earth's
6
atmosphere.
minutos e 10 segundos de voo.
Now, if we do have successful landings today, we'll mark the 257th and 258th landing of an orbital-class rocket. And those entry burns are coming up here in about 30 seconds or so.
Então quem ainda não se inscreveu no
And
canal, se
again, as I
inscreva.
mentioned earlier, the sender
Nós já
core will
estamos aí
be
chegando
expended,
próximos,
and
então,
we are
aos
not
1000
attempting to
inscritos
recover
no
it
canal.
today.
E deixa o like também na transmissão.
Again, the entry burn is coming up here for the side boosters.
Estamos aguardando a reentrada
Booster
dos
entry burn
auxiliares.
startup.
And there's that call out that the entry
Reentrada.
burns have begun
Auxiliar
on the
1
side boosters.
e reentrada
And
do
there you can see
auxiliar
on your
2.
screen,
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
you can see on your screen the engines have reignited.
Booster entry burn shut down.
Auxiliar 1, reentrada concluída.
PY FTS has saved.
And a
E
short
reentrada do
burn,
auxiliar
FTS
2
saved.
concluída.
short burn for both of those boosters, just under 20
Próxima
seconds.
etapa então
All
do
vehicles
nosso
are on
voo
nominal trajectories.
será o pouso
Great
dos
call-outs
auxiliares
there. All
1 e
vehicles
2
on
nas
nominal
zonas de pouso
trajectories.
1 e 2 aí no Cabo
Again,
Canaveral.
we do have one more burn for each of these side
Vamos
boosters
acompanhar.
coming up in just about 30 seconds. That is the landing burn. It's a single engine burn for each booster. And just one engine is powerful enough to slow the vehicles down and safely land back on land. Again, we are
Booster
targeting
transonic.
landing zone 1 and landing zone 2 for today's landings.
Vamos acompanhar então agora o momento do pouso dos auxiliares 1 e 2.
Booster landing burn.
And we heard that call out, and you can see on your screen that the engines have reignited.
Landing leg deploy.
Let's watch as these side boosters touch down for landing.
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
E pousou! Pousou então os dois auxiliares 1 e 2 do Falcon Heavy às 22 horas e 15 minutos no horário de Brasília.
And there you can see on your screen and hear the
Lindas
crowd here,
imagens
very
aí do
excited.
pouso.
We have successfully landed both Falcon
Aí
Heavy
os
side
auxiliares
boosters
1
on
e 2
landing
do
zone
Falcon
1
Heavy.
and landing zone 2. With these two side boosters, this marks the 257th and 258th overall successful landing of an orbital class rocket. And with successful confirmation of our side boosters landing, that will bring our webcast to a close today. We'd like to thank the United States Space Force for entrusting us with
Então,
today's
por hora,
mission.
neste momento,
And we'd like to
estamos
thank
aqui
all
também
of our
encerrando
viewers
aqui
for tuning
a
in.
nossa
As a
transmissão de
reminder, in
hoje.
about 3 hours from
Lembrando
now,
que daqui a
our
pouquinho,
96th
a
and
partir
final
da
mission of
meia-noite e
2023 is set to lift
retornaremos
off
aí
from our
com a
neighboring
transmissão
pad
da
here
missão
in Florida.
Starlink do grupo
Be sure to tune in for that one.
636. Então,
We
não
hope you
perca.
all
Daqui a
enjoy a
pouquinho.
happy and healthy new year, and we'll see you back here for an exciting 2024.
Então, quero agradecer a audiência, a paciência, os likes, donates, inscrições. Daqui a pouquinho, então, a gente volta para a transmissão então, da missão Starlink. Não percam, a partir da meia-noite e 50, aqui no YouTube, nosso canal Will PTV. Logo mais.